The latest controversy on X may come as a surprise. It's not about Biden or Trump or Gaza or Israel. It's about child-free zones. Yes, you heard it here first, or maybe not first if you're as terminally online as I am. Bars and some other food establishments are saying that kids just aren't welcome. At least one bar has stoked this controversy. In the original tweet, a young man is shown pointing to an easel which reads, "Dogs welcome, child-free." A guy named Kyle posted this to social media saying, "This is my new local," and boy, oh boy, did he set off a firestorm. Politically correct Rebecca Freed fired back saying, "Imagine celebrating the exclusion of any other demographic from a public space." To which another response was, "To equate child-free drinking places with excluding minorities is just insulting." So Robby, I confess that I let myself get caught. I ignored it for like a solid 48 hours because I was like, there's no peace to be had here. I dipped just a toe in last night, asking, is all of this hubbub really about the fact that one bar, an adult beverage establishment, says that dogs are welcome, but kids aren't? A bar? Is this all about because people are clamoring to want to bring their kids into a place where most people go to relax, to flirt, to get a little crazy, to use expletives, to maybe not be very good role models to children? We really are fighting to bring our children into these places. I
mean, it's the perception. Look, I agree with you. Obviously there are some spaces that should be child-free. And in fact, now to the extent that people were mad about this, and I think it's like pro-family people on the right who were sort of mad about this, but they also recognize there are a lot of spaces that they think should be child-free, including like drag bars, right? That's what it's like the whole argument is over. Right. Please make our well, I guess they want to make the libraries drag-free rather than child-free, but you get where I'm coming from.
I get where you're coming
from.
But
there's a perception that millennials, and you and I are both childless millennials, as the viewers
know,
the
problem.
That millennials love their pets too much and are not as interested enough in having kids or raising children, and birth rates are going down, and this is the end of Western society and all of that. Look, and I think I'm an advocate for making a lot of spaces that ought to be child-free, even more child-free. I talk about even more child. Let me say that. That's not an elimination. That are child accommodating, even more child accommodating. Sure. I talk on the show a lot about the great work of my colleague at Reason, Lenore Skenazy, the free-range kids woman who has written a book and done all this advocacy and has gone to talk to state legislatures about changing their policies so that kids can play at the park by themselves. They can watch themselves in their own backyards. They can walk to school. Stop making life more difficult for parents by inviting the state in to interfere. All of that stuff, that common sense, decriminalizing parenting that we all believe in, it's non-ideological. I'm all for that, making things easier and better for parents. Parents should run their families, run their kids, coordinate their kids' lives. That said, of course, there are adults-only spaces where, a pet might be welcome if it's well-behaved. I loved having pets at the bars. I was at the bar this weekend, outdoor bar in Navy Yard in D.C., and there was a pet I bonded with, some dogs who were just adorable, and it was great. So I am like other millennials in one.
What's so crazy about this discourse is that it quickly became that people who wanted there to be more child-free spaces, apparently every space has to be, more child-friendly spaces, every space has to be child-friendly, were making the argument that people who felt differently hated children. It was either you love children, and there's all this pressure to performatively say, I love, you have to like premise every statement with, I love children. I promise I'm not a bad person. I love children. Like, you can feel however you want to feel about them, and understand that parents who are supposed to love their children, and I hope do love children, often articulate a desire to get some alone time, because raising children is hard. It's not the idea that it's just a bunch of spinsters and like single men perverts who want a child-free space. It's like everybody, including parents who sometimes want to get away. Yeah. And the weird dog comparison of it all, it's like, I had an argument with a woman online last night. I had to delete it because it was getting insane. She represented to me that kids are better company, are more interesting conversational partners than than adults. That despite her being a philosophy
Well-
professor, she said my 22-month-old
Yeah.
is a better conversationalist than the average, the 99% of adults.
I don't think 2-year-olds are better than.
For 22-month-old, to be clear, just shy of 2.
Yeah, I think it's hard to hold a conversation with a 2-year-old.
It's hard to have a conversation with
Although a
people
lot of
who
my,
refer to their kids
I have
as
a
22.
million nieces and nephews of all ages,
Yeah.
and I have some great conversations with the 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds
Oh,
about my
7-year-olds are
favorite
great.
subjects: the Mario movie, The Legend of Zelda, the world of Pokemon, Dungeons and Dragons. All of these things I have in common with
children.
With children. So.
And that's the thing, like 7-year-olds, I think that most of this conversation isn't not about like an 8-year-old, because I think most people understand not to bring a 7 or 8-year-old to a bar because they're old enough to kind of know what's going on and frankly be negatively influenced. It's really a conversation about babies and toddlers in bars who are not as interesting and still and able to keep to themselves as a 7 or 8-year-old. And so this idea of this comparison with dogs, it's like, it should be a compliment to parents, and as if we are acknowledging that children are harder to take care of than a dog. You cannot put your child under the picnic bench at the beer garden with a cup of water and set it and forget it.
If the kid is a baby. I mean, I do think there is value, and again, this is something Lenore talks about in our panic over stranger danger and kid abductions, and you think every adult anywhere who's talking to a kid who's not their own kid is some kind of sexual assailant, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is an unhealthy attitude because frankly that stuff is pretty rare, and abuse that does occur of underage people generally is from a family member, not some stranger. But stranger dangers are very overhyped. But like I remember when I was a kid, so I have a younger brother, and again, not when we were babies, but when we were kids, our parents would take us everywhere on like we would go up north, northern Michigan, to stay with like it'd be a bunch of like adult vacation for the friends of them that they've had for forever, and we would be among the only kids there, and we did like talking to the adults and being around for and again, not for adult time sounds like there's something inappropriate about it, but just to interact with adults who are not your own parents or family members is a fun thing for kids and is socially enriching for them. So I appreciate the sentiment.
That's not the conversation, Robby. That's I'm so irritated by this. Everything that's
I'm not trying to irritate you.
This isn't a conversation about who hates kids, and this isn't a conversation about the fact that there should be ample child-friendly spaces. This is a conversation about whether one bar, a bar, is whether it's legitimate for them to want to carve out a space that doesn't have children, that it's an explicitly adult space, and people losing their minds like, you are anti-child if you believe this. The same woman that I was talking about before accused me of being inconsistent in my leftist values and not thinking that it's appropriate. Like, again, I'm not even the one who made the bar sign. I probably wouldn't make this bar sign, but I don't think it means you're anti-kid to want to have a place where you don't feel insecure about cursing. Mm-hmm. Dancing wildly and like knocking over somebody's sippy cup. Like it's not discriminatory in the same way that excluding Asians from a restaurant would be discriminatory. And I do think that comparison is frankly kind of offensive. Kids are not the same as adults. They don't have the same rights as adults. They are minors. We treat them differently for a reason. They don't have the cognitive capacity as an adult. You might feel like your child is as stimulating as an adult conversation. Kids are fun and delightful for their own reasons on their own merit.
What I'm hearing
that
from you,
comparison is bizarre.
What I'm hearing from you is that you hate children. You hate them. You don't want to interact with them. You want them cordoned off into their own little Play-Doh and Legos prison.
I love it. I was literally just in New York over the weekend visiting with some of my friends from law school who all have small children, and only two of them were with us in New York, but they were delightful. And everyone was making fun of me because I would not stop playing dinosaurs in the kitchen with the little boys. It's fun. But I'll tell you what, then we left them with my friend's husband, and we went to the bar.
Yeah.
And we said and did things that the kids should not be privy to. Yeah. And that's all I want for everyone to evolve, including parents like my friends who needed to get a little bit of me time.
We all need a break from certain people in our lives at various times, don't we, Briahna?
Never you, Robby. Never you.
Too kind. All right, that does it for us for today. We will be back tomorrow with more Rising. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any of our content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you can find podcasts. Bye-bye.
Take care.